You've added the nuts, you've tried the olive oil, you've tried snacking more, yet no matter how much you eat, you just can't seem to gain any weight. My name's Matteo. I've gained 17 plus kgs of muscle naturally, and I also specialize in helping skinny guys transform. In this video, I'm going to explain the 3 reasons why eating more hasn't worked for you yet and what to do instead. Number 1 is the illusion of effort vs your actual calorie intake. You can be going throughout your day trying to eat more, getting more snacks in, eating whatever you see, but that doesn't mean you're going to be in a calorie surplus. Quick recap: if you want to gain weight, you have to be in a calorie surplus. That is the absolute basic. Now, being full does not mean you're in that calorie surplus. I could give you 5 kgs of broccoli right now. That would not put you in a calorie surplus, yet you'd feel extremely full. Now, this is a bit counterintuitive because you're like, all right, if I'm full, that means I must be eating enough. But that is where the difference lies. Being full is a bad measure of actually gaining weight. What you want to focus on is, am I actually in a calorie surplus? Am I eating the right foods that are going to allow me to be in a calorie surplus? Adding a handful of nuts can definitely help, but that's only 200 calories. If on the side you're having a salad that's filling you up for very little amount of calories, if we look at the total of your day, you might feel full at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean you're in a surplus. And by consequence, you're not going to be gaining weight. This is why trying to eat more, and you've heard it before, like guys will tell you, your family, your friends will tell you, buddy, like just eat more. That is poor advice. Even something as simple as lean steak. You can go to the restaurant, eat a lean steak, eat some asparagus next to it, like it's a healthy meal. It's a big plate. It can be a big plate. That might only be 500 calories, depending on how lean the meat is. So stop focusing on how full you are, how full you feel. Look at how many calories and how much you're actually eating. Feeling full is very subjective. Looking at how much you've actually eaten, that is objective. That is something you can actually measure and track. Your fullness will always vary and depend. If you want to experience a proper transformation, we want to base ourselves on objective numbers. Now, the second point is going to be ups and downs throughout the week, which basically means you can be in a calorie surplus Monday to Thursday, but if Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're in a deficit, you're eating less calories, you can essentially offset that initial calorie surplus. Let's say you're in a 300 calorie surplus for the first 4 days of the week. That's what? That's 1,200 calorie surplus. Great, you're on the right track. However, if on those last 3 days you're in a deficit, you'll essentially offset all the progress you've made. That is why consistency is so important. And combining this with effort, like a lot of guys will try very hard for 3 days. They'll eat a lot of foods. They might even eat the wrong foods. They'll hit the surplus, but then it's like, all right, I've done enough. I feel like I've done enough. Now let me just go back to my old habits. And then they skip meals. They're in that deficit, which essentially leads them to offset the initial progress they've made. This also goes into having a sustainable approach that you can maintain long term. Because if you're trying very hard over 3 days, that means your approach is not designed to be sustainable. And realistically, if you're in this for the long term, your approach has to be sustainable if you want to sustain those results long term. Instead of force feeding yourself over 3 days, putting so much effort into trying to eat more, especially if you're eating the wrong foods, take it back a notch. Track your calories, be consistent every single day. Like less effort in a more structured way with the proper foods compounded throughout the week is going to produce way better results than just trying to go all in over 3 days. Remember, this is a long-term game. You're not going to gain 5 kgs in 1 month. If you do gain that amount, most of that will be fat. So have a long-term approach. You're not going to be able to go really hard all in every single day. Your approach needs to be sustainable at least for 1 full year. So you can see the results, so you can gain the 8, 10 kgs over time. So you don't need to randomly put more effort in. You need the boring, repeatable work that allows you to be in that calorie surplus. A bit of structure, the right foods, tracking your intake, taking 5 minutes to do so. Taking 15 minutes to prepare your meals in the morning or the night before you go to work. All these habits are what are going to allow you to grow long term. It's not going all in over 3 days. The third point is no scale tracking. Without proper data, you don't know if you're actually on the right track. For example, you can track your scale weight after 2 days of eating a lot of food, you'll step on the scale and you'll see that your weight is up. And that's the only day out of the week you track your weight. 3 to 4 days go by, and that's the second day out of the week you track your weight, and you see it dropped. Now, in your mind, you're like, was that even worth it? But the thing is, what you don't see is that your average weight from week to week is going up. If you just focus on one way and here and there, that doesn't give you the full picture. What really allows you to see if you're growing is tracking your weight every single morning after your morning pee. It allows you to have that weekly average. That weekly average can show you if from week to week you're actually growing. But tracking your weight once in a while can for sure lead you to be demotivated. If after 2 days of eating a lot, you have a high number, and then a couple days after you weigh yourself and that number's lower, what I'm doing is not working. But if you zoom out over those 2 weeks, maybe your average weight is up. So you're on the right track, but you're not tracking. So you don't know if you're on the right track. This is why personally, in all of my clients, we track ourselves once every morning after our morning pee. We're not attached to the weight. We see it as data that every single week, based on our average, we can make strategical decisions based on our intake. We're not emotional. Guys that are emotional, that one day their weight is up, one day their weight is down, they get super emotional. We don't focus on emotion, we focus on data, on tracking, and we adjust as we go. That is the difference between guys that stay stuck and guys that do it in a predictable way. That is why I can help guys gain 1 kg per month predictably, because we focus on data, because we're not randomly hopping on the scale every second day hoping that it's going to go up. We zoom out, we have more data, we see the entire picture, and this allows us to make proper decisions. So just to recap, randomly eating more might be keeping you stuck, because trying very hard and feeling full is a bad measure of success when it comes to you growing and you packing on size weekly and monthly. What you want to be focusing on is, how many calories have I been consuming? What's my intake? Am I eating enough? If not, adjust, assess, look at your meals, see what you can include, what you can do differently, and focus on data instead of focusing on randomly feeling full and your emotions day to day. The second point we covered is that your inconsistency throughout the week is killing your gains. You can be doing great for 4 days out of the week in a surplus, but that can be wiped out in 3 days of deficit. That is why the boring, consistent work compounded over 1 week, 2 weeks is what produces true results. And finally, if you're not tracking your daily weights, your weekly average, how will you know if over time you're actually packing on size? Randomly hopping on the scale every 2 to 3 days is not going to cut it. You need the full picture to then make proper decisions based on your nutrition. Remove the emotions, focus on data. That's what's going to allow you to grow. Now, if you're tired of second guessing what to eat, how to train, what to do on a day-to-day basis to predictably build muscle, build the body you've always dreamt of, there's a free training down below which shows you the exact systems my clients and I have used to transform. Feel free to check it out, and I'm wishing you a great day. Take care, buddy.